And for those of you who kind of just joined and didn't hear what I had said a minute ago, thank you guys so much for joining us and for helping us test drive this product with us. Just as a reminder, you didn't need to know anything about what the product is before coming on, so don't worry if you don't get it. Also, don't worry too much if you don't consider yourself either a founder or an investor. You don't necessarily need to say why you think this is a useful product or something that you definitely want to use. Also, no, you certainly don't have to speak if you don't want to speak. Everything that is on the screen is streaming out live right now, and it's also going to be recorded. So if you do not want yourself recorded, or you don't want to talk, but you still want to provide feedback, you can either write in the chat to the right in Zoom, or you can use the Slack channel, and anything written there isn't visible live either. So thank you guys so much for coming on. The focus for this session, if we can, is just to kind of see what you think of the user experience, keeping in mind that this has been built over the course of a week. We're pretty excited about how much was able to be achieved, but the things that you need to know before we get started are kind of what the product is. So the product is called Briefing Room. Hopefully you've all gone to public.briefingroom.co. I see a few more people have joined since then. Go to public.briefingroom.co and you'll see the home page with a little chair and a little lamp. That's what you should be seeing, with home, pricing, and then a ... or an ellipse, or whatever that's called, ellipses. So the product is for early stage companies with investors and shareholders, and who want to keep those shareholders up to date in an engaging way, and also want to share information with potentially future investors and track the engagement or the interest levels that those investors or potential prospects might have. We've been working on different ways of trying to pitch the product, but in general, there are two main elements to it. One is to create beautiful, useful dashboards that you can share with investors, and also control who sees what. So you should be able to create multiple dashboards for different types of investors. So for example, all of my shareholders might get access to a lot of information, whereas all of the investors that I want to keep up to date may only get a smaller amount of information because I don't want them seeing everything, right? So that's one thing one aspect of it. And the other aspect is to create really simple but engaging email updates. So every month you really should be keeping your investors up to date. Some people do it quarterly, some people do it weekly, but in general, short monthly updates is kind of known as like best practice, especially for early stage companies. So the tool should also enable you to create those pretty easily and put you in control again of what it is that you're sharing. So what I'd like you to do is start going through this process. Create an account. You won't be asked for a credit card, so just keep going through any of those links. If you need to add someone, or if you need to send a message to someone in there and you don't want to use your own email addresses, you feel free to do gelb plus whatever, so plus test 321 or plus big dog, whatever you want. I don't know why I said that. At briefingroom.co. Thanks, Gordon. So do gelb plus whatever you want at briefingroom.co, and I'll just get all of those kind of test emails. Feel free to add yourself. If you do have a Gmail account or a Gmail Google G Suite account, you can also do yourself plus whatever you want, and you'll still get that email. So as you're doing it, if you do want to talk about your experience and saying, oh, this is really weird, this is really odd, or I like this, feel free just to start talking. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing it on the screen for everybody who's watching. I'm going to just go through and set up a new account just to see what it's like with a fresh pair of eyes. So feel free to start talking or chatting. or asking any questions that you want. I'm creating a Dundler Miffin account, if anybody gets that reference.
It looks really nice, Rob.
Thank you.
Up, back in. Rob?
Yep.
Do you maybe want to talk to me about like what's the difference between like just posting an update and creating the rooms?
So updates are like emails, right? So an email update to go out. A room is the dashboard, if you want to call it that. So that's like the destination where people will be able to go to whenever they want. So everybody would get sent an email update, and there's a link, a personalized link in that email that will then take people into a room. So if you want to think about it, a room will have many updates within it, and then every update will be attached to a room, and you also create people, and they're attached to rooms as well.
Got you. And like, is the email updates, do they come from my personal account, or is this coming from like Briefing Room?
Good question. So we don't have any onboarding things right now, but if you go to settings, you should then hopefully be able to figure out that information in terms of what your who it's coming from and who the replies go to.
Cool, nice.
If anything also confuses you as you're going along, just shout and we'll note it down. I expect there to be quite a bit, so don't worry about that.
Maybe I misunderstood, but do you want us to go through the pre-order whole sequence?
If you go to pricing on the normal page on public.briefingroom.co, select one of those pricing, doesn't matter which, and then create an account that way. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
And I'm assuming moving forward via paywall before you can get into it? Or
No, you will be let in, but if you actually go to your billing section now, you'll see that you'll have like a 2-week trial. So okay. No credit card will be required, but then after 2 weeks, you'll then be you'll have to put one in. But we can make that a little clearer.
No, it's clear. Like for me, it's clear, right? Like I'm getting in, I'm gonna have 2 weeks worth of access. Just curious, like a lot of the SaaS products that we do use, it's like you'll get like the 30-day free trial, but you're getting it on the basis that you provide the payment in full upfront.
Sure, yeah. It's just about friction, so we thought like if by having that at the beginning, it still causes a bit of friction.
Totally.
So.
Totally.
So what I've done is I've gone to settings, I've added some branding, I've also changed I've added who the email will come from and to, and the reply to email as well. And now I'm going and creating my first room.
Is there the ability to send a test email somewhere?
Yep. So when you're creating a update, when you go and create an update, see how you might do that.
Cool.
Also, it's not clear, but all of our text boxes, they do support Markdown, so you feel free to use that as well. Yep.
In terms of data, like waiting for data, like what types of data are you able to add? Like if you're an online company, can you add like your sales data? Can you link it to like different channels?
Sure. So are you talking about just in a content piece, content block?
In a content block, yeah.
So right now what you can do is you can add a chart if you see chart as an option. And then there's then a CSV template. It's only one kind of chart right now, but if you'll then see a CSV template, and you can then download that, fill that out, and then upload it again, and then you can have a chart in there. It doesn't integrate with any kinds of Facebook ad data or any of that kind of stuff yet. But this is kind of, I don't know, the first step towards that. If you could envisage you creating a chart and then you setting up an integration and then pulling that in.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Oh, what did I do? I just didn't do stuff well. Oh no, I just didn't. The other thing that you can do, I guess, Mike, is so the images that we have, you should, like, you could upload like a chart image, I guess, and then you could have it link to somewhere else. So if you wanted to kind of customize it yourself, I guess you could do that. That's a little workaround.
Got it. But there's no way currently to do like.
Yeah. No, there are no integrations at all.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm curious, Rob, like which integrations would you guys be prioritizing to get done first?
Well, I think it kind of depends on what people use, right? It's you know, if you use a specific type of platform, as long as we can talk to it, you know, we should try and, I guess we should let that tell us what it is that we focus on. So whether or not if you use barometrics, we, you know, try and integrate with that. Or what are the kinds of tools that you use for that, Jeremy?
So for us, I think like an integration with Shopify would be super useful.
Okay.
Just so like then investors can see like real time, like what were the sales last week, what were the sales like last month, for example.
Yeah.
We're e-commerce and we sell physical products, so I think that would be pretty useful.
Yeah.
Maybe even like Google Analytics. I don't know if it's possible, but like again, just for that like e-commerce web data, that rather than having to add, I don't know, if they really wanted to see it, adding them to the user accounts, they can just get like, here's like the 4 key metrics that we're tracking for analytics, for example, that would tell a story for us, you know.
Okay, cool.
I think that'd be pretty useful.
All right.
Yeah, and just to kind of add on to that, just in terms of e-commerce, I think looking at like Shopify, absolutely, and maybe like other platforms that people use, but I know a lot of people do use Shopify. But more of like metrics that you're kind of looking at, like the actual high level, like the overall company. Like for example, I don't think you would need like Facebook ads. I think investors are going to want to like go into the nitty-gritty of like what campaigns are working and what not. So more just thinking about what people use to actually look at their company in its actually like entirety, rather than just specific channels.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And so I guess, yeah, and Shopify, if you are an e-commerce business, Barometrics, if you're a SaaS business, or Kissmetrics, or there are a whole bunch of those ones. If you're a social business, maybe something like Heap or Mixpanel or something like that you're using. I guess it depends on, it also depends on how open you want to be with the different levels of people, but those all make sense.
Yeah, cool, absolutely.
So what I've done is I've made a briefing room for Dundler Miffin shareholders. I've added blocks, so I've added the data dots block, and I use that to say something about our company, and I used one to say team size, and I think I said 30 or something like that, and then another one that said offices, and I said 5. I uploaded a CSV that had our recent performance in over 3 months. I had a text area just to say a thing that we did. I had a image with 3 images in it to upload as our founding team. And that's what I've done so far in my test room. You can also preview it and make sure you can see what it looks like. And now I'm moving on to updates, and I'm going to create an update that goes to everybody in that room. also see if you can figure out how to add people to a room. Interesting to see how you can, if you can figure that out.
Are you also able to upload any type of file onto the platform?
Not yet. Right now we're just doing images of a certain type. But yeah, one thing that people have suggested was to add like a file and then have like a cover image for that. So you can say like quarterly update and then have your PDF there. So we're working on that.
I'm just thinking that it could also be a tool not only for updates but to show for like future projections.
It's true.
Of what you think.
Yep.
How the company's going to do, look like financial projections. So I think a lot of businesses use like SQL.
Yep.
But you know, just I don't know,
Yep.
just figuring it out. But that could also just be then the investors kind of have all that information in one place.
Yep.
Which I think would be quite useful rather than just looking over their emails.
So what have you all managed to do at this point?
I've signed in. I've created a briefing room. Actually, this is Bill Gordon.
Yeah, hi, Bill.
I can't change the name Echo Labs.
It's okay.
Which is I'm using their Echo Labs Zoom account. So I noticed that a test video comes up. That's one of yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should be able to edit it or to remove it.
The test video.
Yeah.
Okay. So I created a room that the member that let's see, I added a person to the list.
Yep.
List of people. They automatically get an email at this point?
No, that's a good point though. No, they don't.
Okay.
That's a good. We should not warn people, comfort people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I put in a person, created a room, created a title for the room. So at this point, looking at the dashboard, that's not where you go to add things. You're going to the bar on the left to do updates, or rooms,
true.
people, or
Yep.
settings.
Yep.
Yeah. So adding a team member is something different than when I added a person, but that's not showing up as a team member.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So there are two different things. So a person is like an investor or a contact or someone that's going to be receiving updates, whereas a member, and I think we've used them interchangeably, so we need to change that. A member is like a team member, like let's say your head of marketing, that you want to be able to log into your system so that they can help make updates. So it supports multiple users per account, if that makes sense. But that's a good
So
point.
in the people category, it's myself and the person I created who happens to be a team member, founder of the company. So.
Right. Okay. So and was the intention when you created a person just then, were you going to add a person so that he could have access to the briefing room, the app, or did you create him as an example of someone who would be a recipient?
So I guess I wasn't sure.
You wasn't sure. Okay.
People add and manage people linked to this briefing room.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but somewhere else it is.
It's a bit lost. Yeah.
It's under settings that I can manage team.
Yeah. So I think we need to look at the copy there, but right now the order is you create a person. When you go to a room, you should see if a way, or you should try and figure out a way of adding people to that room. But the order of operations is make a person, add that person to a room, or make many people and then add them to the room.
Okay. So it's telling me from the team member, add a team member, that I need to upgrade in order to do that.
Oh, which one did you choose? Which thing did you choose?
What did I
Which
choose?
plan did you choose?
I went into team and was going to hit the box to add a team member.
Okay.
I added his email address, hit next, and then it says adding a new team member. Your plan does not allow team members to
okay.
be added. Join
Okay.
party. And it tells me I can upgrade now.
If you do you remember when you originally clicked on pricing and you were selecting a plan? Do you remember which plan you selected?
I think the one on the left, I guess.
The one on the left. Okay, interesting. All right. But first off, it should be warning you before you add a team member that you can't. So that's important.
Yeah, because right now I've hit team, and I have, it says no team members invited. To invite one now, press the add team member button above. And when I do that, that's when I can add his email.
Yep.
Hit next, and then I'm told I can't add a team member.
Okay. Let me try.
I think this is an interesting one from your pricing point of view, Rob, where other SaaS stuff that I've signed up to, you get like full access to it on day one, and then when it comes to the time that it's like hit the paywall, it then prices it based on what you're using.
Yeah.
So like when you're selecting your free trial at the start, I don't know if it's worth just giving free access, get people onboarded, like you're building rooms, adding contacts, and at the end of your 2-week trial, like this is what you're using, and this is what it's going to cost you,
Yeah.
rather than being limited at the start.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good idea.
I agree with that.
So sorry if you guys already covered this, but for adding team members, I can only add
Yeah.
a team member by email.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't add team members that are currently in the system, or like people that I've created.
Oh, you mean you can't select a person that you've already created?
Yes.
Yes, that's true. That's true. You can't do that.
Okay.
The idea and people means those that are receiving updates. So I think the intention is that it's rare or unlikely that you'd be adding someone to manage your page who isn't one of those people.
Well, my question on that then, Rob.
I don't know.
My
I'm just thinking.
my CFO is also an investor.
Yeah, no,
Right, so, like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just would imagine, like, do you then have a problem with adding them twice? You know what I mean? So, like, that they would be added as a person, as a recipient, and then also as a manager of the team. Like, you can add people to both. It's just that would you expect to be able to select from the existing people to add as team members?
Got you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think from like sending the update point of view, I would want him to be included on the list of recipients getting the updates.
Yeah.
Right, but then also being able to contribute to creating them.
Yeah, sure,
That makes
sure,
sense.
sure. Yeah, so as it is now, you can do that. It's just you have to basically create him twice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, at least this is my first impression, like people terminology, I feel like it's a little bit too general.
Yeah. So would it be better if it was like shareholders or stakeholders
or investors? Like, yeah, or investors, or I don't know a good way to say people you want to give updates
like
to.
recipients?
Recipients, yeah,
but
that might
but a
be
better
good.
word or something.
Yeah. So, because I think that was just a bit confusing.
It was confusing. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah. And I guess team is fine, I think.
So
And then founders, but you might not actually have all founders on your team.
Sure, of course, of course. So if you were able to make an update, or if you do want to make an update and add me as a recipient on that update, I'd love to see then what yours looks like. That would be pretty cool.
What do you mean? Like add you into?
Add me as an investor, add me as a person, and then add me to a room, and then send me an update. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. What email should I use?
It's in the chat. If you look there, you can copy and paste that. It's all right. So I've gotten a few of these. Thanks, Gordon. That's cool. Oh, it's a good question. Does this support GIFs? I don't know. So we have about 5 more minutes of this call, and so if anyone has any kind of final thoughts, would love to hear them. But otherwise, you can just play with it. I'm going to try adding a GIF and see if it works. Any final thoughts for folks? What do you think? Does it seem cool? Does it seem super confusing?
I can definitely see the use. Trying to get around some of the edges of the people, the team members.
It's a bit confusing.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. Because I'm working on a couple different projects that could use something like this.
Sure.
Where we've been talking to investors, to be able to post things like PowerPoint presentations. And, is there something here where it would take a PowerPoint?
So as it stands right now, literally right now, the way that I would do that is you'd host your PowerPoint presentation somewhere and you'd create a link and you'd have this linking to it, but maybe you'd have your deck or a link to a PDF or something like that. So we don't inherently host the PowerPoint just yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So but there would be a place to have the PDF or the PowerPoint file itself.
Eventually, yeah, eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys very much for spending some time and poking around. And if you do have any other thoughts, I'd love to hear them. If you write on our Slack channel or send us an email, or you can still post in this chat, and we can get that as well. But thanks so much for taking the time.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
All righty. Thanks, guys. All right. Take care. All right. Now we'll shift gears.